morning, everybody. Tiny House Dreaming here. It's Monday morning. I am fresh out the shower, feeling good. Got a couple more hours before I'm gonna hit the road and head to Missouri with this load that I picked up from Indianapolis. Yes, Indianapolis yesterday. It's not due until 9. It's about 8:15ish right now in the morning. And I'm gonna wait a while because once I start driving, my 14-hour clock starts. And I'm hoping to drop this load and possibly have enough time on my clock, depending on how long it takes for them to unload me to get to the terminal. I'm hoping I don't get another load. My dispatcher knows that I'm trying to get to the terminal to go Lease. So I'm hoping to make it there as soon as possible once I drop this load. So I'm gonna hang out. I see a Subway over there in the distance. I'm gonna probably grab a veggie wrap or something and hang out for a little bit. What I wanted to do is kind of show you guys what you would possibly make as a lease operator. Now I'm gonna show the estimated settlements as a company driver. Of course, I make cents per mile, 42 cents per mile. And when I get a load, what they do is they send me an estimated settlement, and that's what I would have been getting if I was a lease driver, like what that load would have paid. So I'm able to see it. I don't make the money that you're gonna see on the screenshots. I downloaded a screen recorder. I'm gonna try to use it for the first time, so bear with me if I'm kind of fumbling around. But I did, like you guys know, I try to be transparent with everything going on with the trucking thing. So even though I'm not making this money, I'm gonna show you guys the screenshots, or like go through the screen to show you the load, how many miles the load is going, and what the estimated settlement would have been. And I will also go to the page where I show you my fuel receipts so you can see what I would have spent on fuel. So I'm gonna do that when I get in the truck. That'll kill some time, and hopefully that'll help some of you guys out that are kind of just wondering what it's like out here. All right, and before I do that though, let me keep in mind that Prime is moving thousands of loads a day, moving from here to there across the country and so into Canada. So I've literally have not been out here. I'm on my like what sixth or seventh load. So I literally am gonna be showing you a handful of what is out there. There's a lot of loads that are paying more than what any of these loads you're gonna see that I'm showing you. And then there's some paying less that are only going 10 miles up the road or 5 miles up the road. So keep in mind, like, don't take these however many loads it is. I'm not gonna show you the one I'm actually on right now just because I'm on it right now, and that wouldn't be a smart thing to do. And I don't think Prime would appreciate it, but I think I have like maybe six loads like that I've done up until now as a solo driver, so I can show you the estimated settlements for those. But keep in mind that 6 loads over the course of 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks, the course of 2 weeks, versus the thousands of loads that move around every single day. So don't take these numbers as this is as high as it gets or as low as it gets. Just take it for what it is, and I'm only showing you what I'm able to show you because this is all I have to show you. But I did tell you guys that I would let you know everything I can about trucking, and this is part of it, the money aspect of it. You can look at the miles on the certain screen that I show you, the miles of each load, and if you want to calculate that by times 0.42 to see what you would make as a company driver. And then we can talk about what we would be making as a lease driver versus the fuel that we're spending. Another thing to keep in mind is when you go fuel up and you drop your load, or like, you know, you might fill up, depending, when you're paying attention to the gas prices and the cost out here, you don't always wait for your tank to get on E. And a lot of times you're not waiting for your tank to get on E. You're capitalizing on the cheapest fuel. So if you're at half a tank and you come across somewhere that's 10 cents less than anywhere else or anywhere you're going or have been, you might fill up there to save you money. Even though you have enough fuel to make it to your next stop, it's about knowing that you're gonna need the fuel, you're gonna be using the fuel. So be smart about it, get as much fuel as you need, as much fuel as, if it's just a really good price, fill up. If it's not, get enough fuel to get you to the next place that has that better price. Everybody kind of runs different. I mean, when you're a company driver, Prime, I'll show you a macro 27 as well. But you do a macro 27 and Prime tells you where to fuel and how many gallons at that spot to get, because they're factoring all the cost of what diesel costs in certain states and the taxes and all of that. They're already calculating that in for you. As a lease driver, you can still do the macro 27, and a lot of times that will come out to be your best fuel stop, because that's what Prime is calculating. They're doing the homework and the math kind of for you. But as a lease driver, you can fuel anywhere. So if you have your own formula or your own way that you like to run and like to fuel, and you feel it's better for the way, and more economically sound for how you are and how you operate your business, again, as a lease operator, it's your business. So you can do it however you want to. But my point was that when you get to a shipper or receiver, like, you might have spent $500 in fuel. And it seems like a lot when your load might only have been paying $1,200. But you might have only traveled 400 miles. So you've only used a quarter to 3/5 of a tank of, a little over a quarter of gas or fuel. My bad. It's not gas in big tanks, it's fuel. But so even though you spent 500 and that load only paid 1,200, let's say, you still have over a half a tank of fuel there. So when I'm showing you these numbers and how much I spent in fuel versus how much the load would have paid if I was a lease operator, kind of take that into account, that right when you get to the shipper or receiver, your tank is not going to be at E where you need to now go fill up your tank again, or put fill up half of your tank, or whatever the case. A lot of times you have over half a tank still of fuel in your tank when you deliver. So that puts you into the next load. You don't have to spend as much. So as I'm kind of showing you the numbers, I'm just going to show you the amount of miles for that trip, what the trip would have paid, and how much fuel I actually purchased during that trip. But keep in mind that the fuel that I purchased during that trip, there was probably excess fuel left over in the tank after I completed that load. So be mindful of that and be aware of that as you're looking at the numbers, whether you're looking at them as good or bad. Just, that's the facts of how it is. So I'm going to hop in this truck, guys, put my shower bag up, and I'm going to try to figure out this screen sharing app thing enough to kind of get the information on the screen. I think I can talk in the background, so I'll talk along with it, but you guys won't be seeing my face, obviously, because you'll be seeing what I'm doing on the screen. But I will talk to you in a bit. Okay, guys, so I am sitting in Subway, had my veggie wrap and my cup of water. This paper is what I kind of been sitting here and writing out. I've been trying to figure out the best way to show you guys the breakdown, and I thought I was on my 7th load, but I'm actually currently attached to my truck is my 6th load. So I'm not going to show that, just because the pages I'm going to go through actually show addresses and stuff like that, and I don't want to give out any information while I'm still under a load. And it's also because I haven't actually went and fueled up. That'll be my next stop after leaving here, headed to my drop point. So what I did was, and I figured the first 5 loads was a pretty good, it's a nice, not even number, but a nice chunk, the first 5 loads. So I broke it all down here. I'm going to show you all 5 of the estimated settlements. And forgive me, I'm looking through my camera, so if I point wrong. But the estimated settlements, which has this information, I'll go to the page that shows you the miles. I will show you my fuel receipts, which some of them, there are more than one fuel receipt. So I just took the liberty of adding them together to know what I spent during that certain trip. And then this is the states that the load went through. Because I know people kind of look at things differently. This is a really just rough breakdown for me. I come from the business world, so my mind wants to crunch numbers way further than this, but to not overcomplicate things and kind of just give a general understanding of how much you can make company versus lease. And again, I want to emphasize that this is just happens to be the first 5 loads that I've gotten as a company driver. It won't be the same for everybody. The numbers could completely be different. The miles can completely be different depending on if you're team driving. So there's a lot of factors. I'm just showing you, the only thing I can go by is what they've put assigned to me as far as my trips. So I can only show you what I can show you. I can't show you other people's or start willy-nilly guesstimating what other people might get or do or how many miles they might run. I can only show you what I've done. So just keep in mind that this is not, it's different for everybody. Everybody's first 5 loads will be different. Everything is a variable. So this is just showing you my experience. So, okay, I'm going to probably come back to this paper, but basically my consensus is if you go lease versus company, you make $709.39 more. And I kind of broke it down here. For me, what the important thing is that I'm going to be emphasizing on, just again to keep it simple for myself and for you guys and to be able to explain it, is I put all this information here so you can see it. And the reason why I'm showing you, I'm going to do the screen capture and show you guys so you know that I'm not falsifying any of the information. The miles are correct. My estimated settlement, everything that's on this paper is accurate. I'm not fudging anything. But basically, I just took the estimated settlement. I didn't even break it down by like the fuel surcharge and the line drive charge and all that. I just took estimated settlement of what they would have paid me as a lease operator. I added it all up at the end. I took, like I said, I added sometimes during a load, I stopped and got fuel more than once. So if so, I added the receipts up. I totaled them up to one number. And at the end of the 5 loads, I added up to what I spent. So this is what I would have made minus what, as a lease operator, your fuel comes out of your pocket, minus what I would have spent on fuel. And there it is right there. Minus the fuel, that's what I come up with. I kind of just generalized it. Like most people are probably going to want a new truck 2018, 2019. So you're going to spend about $1,100 a week on a truck. So if this is like 2 weeks worth, because I've been driving for 2 weeks now, again, remind you that I'm still under a 6 load right now, but I don't have all the numbers, so I'm only including 5. But that 6 load would have been counted in that second week's payment. So really, I would have made a little bit more, but we'll go with this because this kind of still is a good indicator. So if you were paying about $1,100 a week and I've been out running for 2 weeks, so I minus the $2,200, that's what I came up with, the $3,369.51. I kind of estimate as a business, you want to put aside 30% for taxes. That number might differ based on you and how you run your business or what your accounting tells you or whatever. I'm kind of just throwing out a pretty general number that you can kind of be safe following. So after taking out taxes out of what I would have made after making my truck payment, this is what my take-home pay for those 5 loads or those 2 weeks would have been. And versus company, you're paid per mile. So I just went over here. I looked at the miles that I ran, the 5258 times 0.42 cents per mile. I came up with the 2208.36 before taxes. Personal, if you're not running a business, you're kind of safe taking, considering 25%. That's kind of high. If you have kids, that'll change. Again, I don't have kids, so like I'm kind of, this is, usually for me, it is always overestimating things, but I like to have extra money that I wasn't expecting versus to underestimate and owe more money. So I took away the 552.09 at 25% taxes, 25% of that. That's what I came out with for 5 loads or 2 weeks out. The difference between the two is $709.39. You made more as a lease. Now, this is where it kind of comes into where obviously people want more money, but again, with lease, you're taking on more you're taking on the risk of being a lease operator. This also isn't kind of calculating in what you might put away per mile for your tire fund or your emergency fund or e-fund, whatever you call it. But this is just kind of giving you a general idea. This kind of shows you generally well, not generally, it shows you where I went from and to, so you can kind of see like what the different payouts would be. This column is the fuel surcharge that Prime gives you. This is what you're actually making for the load, and then they added the fuel surcharge. That's how this number comes up, and you'll see this breakdown when I screenshot. The miles is just that I added together empty and loaded miles together to come up with a number. Some people like to emphasize that Prime doesn't pay you for loaded miles. Like whatever you're making is for the empty miles. So whatever you're making is based on your loaded miles. For me, you're paying gas on no matter what loaded, empty, whatever. If you have to get somewhere and it's 200 miles and you're empty, you still have to pay gas for that. So I just added together all my miles and came up with a set mileage, because as a company, you are being paid for empty as well as loaded miles. Any miles that you drive, towards a load or with the load, you're being paid for. So that way, that kind of factored into my company breakdown. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. I'll show you guys really quick the screenshots of everything so you know that my numbers aren't fudged and you're getting it is what it is. I don't know if this is a good thing for you, how you would pick which one you would want to do. Also keep in mind that company, you are paying for medical, dental, vision, and all of that. Like, it's not as cheap as you might think. But so that's not factored in. As Lease, you would be paying your own stuff. So again, like, there's added costs that'll come out of these amounts. But this is just kind of giving you just the basic of what it looks like to be company versus Lease during your first 2 weeks or first 5 loads. All right, I'll be right back with you guys for the screenshot thingies. Okay, guys, I think you can hear me, so I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up, starting from the first load and, going consecutively, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So this was my first load. If you see the estimated total settlement, the line charge is $1260.18. The fuel surcharge is $397.80, and then together those add up to the estimated total settlement of $1657.98. That's what I would have seen on my check, is the total settlement amount, and they're kind of just showing me how they figured that out. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that this was my first load. Obviously, Springfield, when I left the terminal and I went to Victorville. If you look down a little under the middle of the screen, you'll see loaded miles. And then I know there's nothing under empty miles, but as I go through the different pages, I'm not going to stop and point out each thing, but just so you guys know where to look, so you kind of can see compared to my page that I wrote out, that it does match up. So 1,530 miles I did, and it was 0 empty miles because I actually picked it up from right where I was at the terminal. So I didn't have to drive any miles to get the trailer that I needed to get. So here we go as far as seeing the documents, and I have separate fuel receipts, but then I took one picture of all the receipts together, 3 total. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's $565.70, $29.05, and $339.26. So if you look back at my paper that I wrote out, I added that up to $934.01. So that's how I came up with that fuel spent cost on that column of the paper that I wrote out. So that's pretty much showing you the first trip. Let me go back and I'll go to the second trip, which is here. The estimated total settlement, $1157.57. I'm going to go into the trip. It was 437 loaded miles. My fuel receipt is right here, $327.12. So now I'm going to go to the next. Oh, well, I guess I can go that way. Go to the next trip, which is right here. Estimated total settlement, $1825.21. 726 loaded miles, 407 empty miles. And I think together that added up to 1133 miles total. Do I have a picture with all receipts? Oh, sorry guys. I have to go back in it. That was the third trip I was showing you guys. Okay. Sent documents.
Okay, so I only had that was my time I had the weigh scale issue. So that scale ticket was $11. But here's my only fuel receipt for that time, $616.52. So that was quite a big fuel charge on that one. So that was the third. Here's the fourth. This is what brought me from the West Coast into, I guess you guys consider Missouri the Midwest. But estimated total settlement $24.95.76. And there you go. Loaded miles $13.94. Empty $185. View the fuel receipts. It looks like there's two of them. So there you go, 288.09 and 420.11, which added up to 688.20 on my little paper that I wrote out. And now I'm on to the last one, which is right here, the fifth load. 1228.84 and 579 loaded miles. And my fuel receipt, it's not easy to see this, and I just remember because it was the last fuel that I got. It was like $228 and some change. So you'll notice on my spreadsheet I just overcalculated to $230 even, but it wasn't quite $230. But there you go. That's like showing you kind of proof of everything, that all the numbers on my sheet that I kind of spent more time showing you. There you go. That's showing you that my numbers aren't doctored or anything. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna get off of my screen, figure out how to stop this. Oh, right there.
All right, guys, so I hope that little breakdown helped somebody, not everybody, just kind of get a gist of what it's like. And it kind of gives you see how like they send you, when you accept a load, that's what they send you to show you what you would be making. Then there's a separate message that comes and asks, do you accept this load? Like, are you going to commit yourself to that particular load? So they do show you what you would be making before they ask you to commit to a load, and you have the option to say yes or no. I mean, even as a company driver, I get that message. I don't really have the option as a lease driver would. Unless there is a serious reason, like you have a stalker in that certain city or something like that, like I don't think they would just be like cool with you saying no or turning down a load. You probably have to have a really good reason. I've never said no to a load, so I don't know what happens once you do. But yeah, so hopefully you got an understanding of the dollars and stuff of it. And I don't really know. I haven't been leased and don't really know anybody who shares the numbers that closely with me, like load for load, to know like do lease drivers get loads that are paying $4,000 to $5,000. Like some people say that. I haven't actually seen it on like where they show me their phone and show me their estimated settlement text that they get or messages that they get from Prime. So I can't really speak to anybody else. But yeah, so I hope everybody has a good day. I have about 30 minutes to just hang out and chill before I'm gonna start driving, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.